So that's what your transaction time is. And then focus on your fill rate. Now, fill rate is when a customer comes up and creates a demand at my parts counter, and they ask for a part, what percentage of the time am I able to fill that part out of my on-hand inventory? A lot of guys measure it on what can I fill the part with, even if I have to order it. I don't want that. I want it out of your on-hand inventory. What you carry in stock, what percent of all the orders that people come up and ask for are you able to fill? Most of my guys are running around 80%. That's way too low. Way too low. Because people today won't wait. How many people do we have in here in parts? Okay, parts. How many parts that have been special ordered and already paid for never end up getting picked up? A lot.
A lot.
Isn't it amazing? I go back, when I go to a parts department, I say, okay, where's your special order shelf at? And I go back there and I say, okay, well, what's all this stuff? Well, that's been here about a year, right? And the first thing I say is, why didn't we return it? Okay, right? They say, well, it's been paid for. I don't make any difference at that point, right? They're not going to come back and get it. I tell people again, that's the other thing. You guys think that price has a lot to do with stuff? It's not price, it's what? They want it when? Now. And even though they paid for it, they went ahead and did what? Kept looking, and somebody said, oh yeah, I got one of those. And even though they paid for it, right? They went ahead and paid for it again just so they could have it. You got to get your brain out of this thing that price has anything to do with it. What people want today is what? I want it, and when do I want it? Now. Now, a lot of people say, well, a lot of people are buying parts over the internet. That's true, because they can do what? They can order them when you're not there, right? And, right, I don't have to hassle with it. It's just shipped to my home. And I have to pay freight on it. There's no parts company out there that sells parts that you're not going to be paying $7, $8, $10 for freight, right? And my parts guys go, you know, how do you compete with the internet? I don't know. How about you carry it in stock? Oh, well, that's a novel idea. So, fill rate. I expect you, if you're my dealer, to be in the high 80s, low 90s.
A question about that.
Yes.
So, I can see that particularly for the brands that you carry and sell. What about all the other brands out there that you don't?
I'm not concerned about those.
Okay.
Okay. So that's a good question. If you're servicing other brands, and most of my dealers do, I'm not going to try to fill at that level.
Okay.
My responsibility as a dealer is to have a high fill rate on my lines. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You won't hold me accountable for not having a cast aluminum spindle for a Craftsman motor. Okay? You will and should hold me accountable if I don't have a spindle for a washer. Right? If you're telling me this is the line you sell and you don't have a belt for it, shame on you. So that's a great question. So I don't try to do it on my other stuff. It's just my responsibility is, if I'm a Walker dealer, then I should be having what? If it's a wear part, what should I have in stock? I should, right? If you're going to work with commercial guys, you better have it in stock. Right? They don't care to hear that, you know what, I don't sell that pump, I don't sell that very often. Doesn't make any difference. You should have what? One of it. If we don't sell it very often, we just mark it up. So I improve my margins on it. If my turns are lower, then I make my margins higher on it. I don't have a problem carrying a part that I only sell one time a year. I'm just not going to sell it for 30%. I'm going to sell it for 50%. Make sense? Right? So they just tickle you have it at that point. It's not the price on it. So that's a great question. So forget about our other lines out here, but you're responsible as a dealer. If you carry it and you're saying, I am a Walker dealer, I am a whatever dealer, you have a responsibility for having a fill rate high 80s, low 90s. You guys would go ballistic if Blair only filled 85% of the orders that you asked for. If you sent an order in and consistently only 85% of them were available, you would start to complain, would you? I don't know what it is. Blair, what's your fill rate?
Lately it's about 99, but we're usually at 96, 98.
That's phenomenal. Now, for you guys to get to 98, you don't need to get there, right? But you got to be in that high 80s, low 90 range. So, I think I said we want to do more business but not add any more cost. Did I not say that earlier? Now I'm telling you to do what your parts department. Well, then that kind of comes in conflict with what I told you earlier. So let me tell you now how to do it. Okay. So I want you to have a higher fill rate. So to have a higher fill rate, we have to expand our SKUs, right? Okay. So remember what I talked about my service process? So now, because my shop is using this process here, I need to stock less quantity of parts because right now you're stocking a higher quantity to meet the demand of your shop, right? Keep in mind now, my shop doesn't need a part for how many days? 3, 4, 5 days if they're doing everything right. So I can reduce my quantity on hand. So when we talked about that carburetor, maybe you're carrying 5 carburetors for that particular engine in stock now, because we're at peak season and we're going to need them. Let's only carry 3 of those, but let's take the money, right? So let's reduce our inventory down to 3, sell out to where you're at 3. Let's take the money now and do what with it? Buy wider. So let's buy some other SKUs that may not turn as fast, right? But it helps me edit. So I didn't use any more money. I just took the money I had, reduced my quantity count, and I expanded my SKUs. And that's what I want you to do. That's what I want you to do. Now, yes?
What's your stocking criteria?
My stocking is 3 demands in 90 days. 3 unique demands in 90 days. Okay.
What's your opinion of that pre-season big damn order they always come after you get?
Well, here's my problem with that. Here's my problem with that preseason big damn order. Although I've never seen it written up quite that way. It may be, but I just have never seen it. I learned a long time ago in business a very, very important truth. You make money in business on your buy, not on your sell. Okay. So when you buy something, the key to making money in business is buying it right to begin with. I am a fan of big ass stocking orders.
If the incentives are right.
Well, but they always are. Okay, maybe not in all cases, but maybe not in all cases. So I tell all my dealers, what we do at my dealerships, we use our business management software to manage our parts inventory. We have mins and maxes, and then we make seasonal adjustments, which your software can do for you. At peak season, I'm sorry, not at peak season, but at the end of my season, so at the end of my mowing season, I want my on-hand inventory for mower-related parts to be at 30% of what it was at peak. Okay, because I'm going to burn my inventory down to the absolute bare minimum. Because when I have an opportunity to buy in that big order and get an extra 5% or 6% in dating on parts, I'm going to load my parts department up with it. So I can get an extra 5 or 6%, and I don't have to pay for it for 90 days or 180 days in some cases. That's why I tell my guys, I don't really care about how many times you turn your parts inventory. If you're buying program, I'm not using my money anyway. I don't care how many times you turn the manufacturer's money. Once I own it, now I want to turn it at least 4 times. Okay, so when I own it, I expect to get at least 4 turns out of it. If I'm working on somebody else's money, I'm taking the extra 5, 6, 7%, right? I got dating, so I don't have to pay for it. Most of it's not even going to come due until I've already done what? Sold it. Do I care? I don't care. So I'm a big fan of programs. I really am. But I tell people the challenge you guys do is you don't get your inventory burnt down because you're not using your system to do your mins and maxes and then making a seasonal adjustment with it. And so you don't really have the advantage to really stock up on it when it's really right. And I'm going to buy the stuff I know I'm going to sell. And I just had this conversation. I do a lot of work with Kubota, and it came up. I was in Dallas last week doing a big meeting with parts in Kubota, and that came up down there. And they said, "Well, what if I don't sell it?" And I said, "Well, then return it." And Kubota has a 15% restocking policy.
It's 10.
It's 10. That's what it was because I was down there doing it.
Then you pay for shipping back.
Yeah, and so I said, and I think they get when you do their program. I think it was either 10 or 15%, 10%. I think it was 10%. And so I said, so if I order something and I don't end up wanting it, I'm going to still return it. It's going to cost me 10%, but I've got what?
Okay, money.
So the only thing I have to pay for is my shipping. It's pretty much.
Usually it's your fast-moving parts or you're ordering on these, so you sell them.
It is. But but again, there's going to be times where you order something that you don't need. But I tell people again,
I do have a question though.
Yes.
What do most dealers do when they order on their programs and they get, like, let's say with Kubota 15%? We're on price tape with Kubota, so all of our prices are built in. Do you go in and reduce your cost prices at 15%? Or you just leave
No.
it?
We don't. No. Good question.
Do.
All of our matrixing is done on list, not on cost. So yeah, you don't pass a discount on to the customer.
Yeah, well, we don't, but I have dealers in my area that actually do, like on Kubota parts, when they place their orders and they get that 15%, they actually do tell customers or reduce their retail price, and we don't do that.
Well, he would be what we call Missouri stupid.
Yeah.
Customer come in and ours would be like $12. He's like, well, I can go down the road and get it for $8.
Well, I would say again, that's where then on your filters and stuff, that's where I said it's a little bit more of an art form. So on some of your fast-moving filters and stuff, you can do it, but then pick it up where? You got to pick it up. So that's what I was saying about there. You can't fight him. He's not going to go back and change them. I'd love to have him call me in. I'd fix it for him.
So our
Right.
parts margins end up being a little bit higher than they really are because we're not showing them volume discounts.
Yeah,
on
yeah. But I
parts.
mean, anytime you do it, I mean, your whole key is you're buying it. So all your markups are based upon the list, not off your cost.
That's what we do.
Because you don't want to pass your discount on to the
We
customer.
don't.
Yeah, but you're doing it the right way. And I mean, he may not be an idiot. Most likely is, but he may be. But I mean, you know, he's in business for the wrong reason. That's the challenge you get again, is you got to get everybody understanding. Again, you can't call him up and say, hey, let's agree on this pricing, because for whatever reason, the government frowns upon that collusion thing, you know how that is. But anyway, but that's what you're supposed to be doing there. But again, if you got it, you're going to have some items that you're always too high on, get the price down, and then go back and pick it back up on other stuff that is not price competitive anymore. So you got to compete with him if you're going to play the game. But you know, there's going to be certain things you're just going to know, and just do it. But just know that I'm not really giving it away, because I'm going back here and I'm going to pick it back up someplace else. That's what Walmart does. I tell people Walmart's got everybody convinced they're cheap. It costs Walmart just as much to buy it from the Chinese people they buy it from, just as much to run a truck up and down the road, just as much to use the distribution center as everybody else does. Everybody out there in that business has got basically the same costs. The difference is Walmart knows how to make you think you're getting some sort of special deal. So that's what it's all about there. So does that make sense on your fill rate? Okay, and again, I don't want you to go out and add more dollars to your inventory. I want you to do what? Now, and again, if you don't have a business management software, I would encourage you to do that.